everybody! Happy Magical Monday. Hope you're having a really great day so far because Mondays can be terrible. Like always on Magic Mondays, I am releasing my latest Harry Potter magical movie review. This week we are reviewing Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. If you haven't seen the first 3 magical movie reviews, head on over to my page now. And while you're over there, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you can be ready for next week's episode. If you haven't seen a magical movie review before, I break things down into 5 major sections. And I did this because I'm excited, but this is really 10. 5 major sections. We've got magical recap, where I bring you the quickest just summary of the movie that I possibly can. Then we've got magical moments, which are things that I liked about the movie, things that kind of touched my heart, things that I'm excited about. Next is Enchanting Efforts, so things that I didn't super enjoy about the movie or just kind of left big question marks over my head. Then we select a VMP, or a very magical person, that wins the episode. And then we end it off with my rankings of the movies in that series so far. Hi, girl. Yeah. She's a very special girl. This is my Crookshanks. Her name is Tina, and she's a very special lady. She's been very needy lately. If you don't follow me on Instagram, she's had just a spout of sickness this week, so she's been very attached to her mom because she needs some extra loving, don't you, Minty? Let me get that gook out of your eye. So we'll just start it all off with a magical recap. Yes, I did write it down. No, I didn't practice this time because, Harry goes to the Quidditch World Cup and is supposed to have a really good time, but ends up learning about Death Eaters instead. The trio goes to school and finds out that they're hosting a bunch of kids from other schools to do this Tri-Wizard tournament thing. Only 17-year-olds can enter, and they'll pick one person from each of the 3 schools to do 3 tasks. Get it? Because, you know, it's the Tri-Wizard tournament. But somehow Harry gets picked to be the 4th. Then Harry fights a dragon, he saves his friends from drowning, and then gets lost in a maze. What he doesn't know is that at the end, when he grabs the trophy at the end of the maze, when he supposedly won, that he would be transported to a graveyard of Tom Riddle Sr. and is involved in some kind of weird ritual to bring Voldemort back into a real body. They end up fighting, but Harry escapes. Then he realizes he's been lied to by a teacher, and it was actually a bad guy that was helping Lord Voldemort do this whole thing. Dumbledore was pissed. Anyway, things were okay after that, and school was out for summer. That's about it. So, magical moments. I actually didn't have very many moments where I was like, oh my god, I have to write this down because it's so great. And so this list is actually pretty small. Excuse me, that was a burp that snuck out. I will say at the very beginning, when they go to the Quidditch World Cup, the whole sequence involving the Quidditch World Cup is really, really cool. When they travel there by Portkey, that's when we're introduced to that mode of transportation, which is really awesome. And then they also show just more magic, of which Harry is not used to. They get to their tent that they've been assigned, and it looks like this little 1-person, maybe 2-person tent, and they open the little flaps, and of course it's basically like a condo in there, which is amazing. I wish I had that growing up, going camping. Would have loved to have more room. So that was really cool, just adding to the magic of just Harry getting used to the wizarding world. I mean, we're already 4 books in, and Harry's still being surprised by positive things about the wizarding world and why it's so awesome. And then the whole Quidditch World Cup itself, watching the game, I wish we could have seen a little bit more of the game other than the introduction of the team members, but of course just the whole idea that they've got to climb up to the top to be able to see, they've got the nosebleed seats, but in my opinion, in a Quidditch game, that's probably where you want to be. I think it's so incredibly magical in just the fact that it's Quidditch and there's magic tents that they all sleep in. but it's still a very real and applicable event in that, like, we've all been tailgating at sporting events and you go to this huge, like, game, and just the balance of fiction and reality and where they meet in the middle, I think, is a magical moment. Of course, a big magical moment for me as a Hufflepuff, go Puffs, is of course our introduction to Cedric Diggory. It's really, other than Newt Scamander, which is a name that we're not really, like, focused in on in the Harry Potter films, he's the only, like, big name Hufflepuff that we have, like, that goes to school with Harry. So for me, that's a magical moment because I'm like, oh yeah, Hufflepuff, like, people are actually cheering for a Hufflepuff for a change. You can't argue that that's a magical moment for all my other fellow Hufflepuffs out there. Of course, I should probably mention too that just the CGI is also really incredible. I don't think it's that much more of a magical moment than Prisoner of Azkaban. Like, there's nothing really that new that we haven't seen or that's, like, crazy impressive. So I was kind of debating even putting it in here. Honestly, the next magical moment that I wrote down wasn't until Harry is in Dumbledore's office, like, waiting to talk to him because Dumbledore's off running around with who we think is Mad-Eye Moody, and we're introduced to the Pensieve for the first time, which I think is a really cool magical artifact. Being able to collect your memories and dump it into this thing and remember anything on the top, like, at the snap of a finger, essentially. So I think that that's cool, but even just the scene itself with Harry being curious and putting his head in and seeing the scene where Barty Crouch Jr. is a bad guy, but Harry doesn't know about Barty Crouch Jr. until this point. Like, the pieces are starting to fall together, so much so that when Dumbledore comes back out and Harry pulls his head out of the thing, Dumbledore then, of course, says one of my favorite lines, "Curiosity is not a sin, but we should exercise caution," which I think is a really fun, just snippet of Dumbledore's just constant wisdom that he's dropping down on Harry. But in that scene, it's clear that Dumbledore knows something is up, specifically with Barty Crouch, Karkaroff, and Barty Crouch Jr. Like, he knows that something is happening, and clearly this is a foreshadowing moment for J.K. Rowling. Just the fact that he's like, I know that this is important, but I can't put all the pieces together. He doesn't say what it is he's looking for. He just keeps saying, like, I know I'm so close, but it's not quite clear. Like, he obviously knows that something's just not right with everything that's going on. So I think that that's a magical moment in itself because it's an introduction of Harry and Dumbledore's, like, detective skills together and talking things out and, like, really having a partnership. But then also Dumbledore flexing on just everything that he senses and knows and can pick up on stuff like that. Big magical moment. I think that that's the biggest magical moment for me in the whole movie. The next and last really big magical moment for me, finally getting to see the embodiment of the current period or the current times Voldemort, and having Ralph Fiennes, or Ralph Fiennes, however he says it, embody that character is so incredibly magical. The actual process is weird, and I'm like, this is a little getting close to, like, human sacrificey, but, you know, we're just gonna zoom past that part. We've seen bits and pieces of what minuscule amount of a man is left with him sharing a body with Quirrell, the thing that's, like, flying around on the ground drinking the unicorn's blood, the body of teenage Voldemort as Tom Riddle in the diary in Chamber of Secrets, but I mean, it's not really, like, Lord Voldemort yet. And then we don't see any kind of Voldemort representation in Prisoner of Azkaban. He's almost like taking a little nap. So Goblet of Fire, I will say, I think, of course, is a a pivotal moment in the story with Voldemort coming back, and that's gonna set us up for the next 4 movies. Just the fact that we've got a villain, like a physical representation of the villain now. He's creepy as butts, and just Ralph Fiennes kills it with the laugh and the touching of Harry, and I just think the whole thing is great. I think he's a great Voldemort. So that's really it for magical moments for me for Goblet of Fire. I have just as many, if not more, enchanting efforts, so we'll just dive right into that. I'm just gonna get one out the way real quick. The hair is terrible. I don't know if it was a sign of the times, like it was that hairstyle for all the boys supposed to be Bieber-esque. I don't know. I can't remember 2005 that well. I even remember thinking then, like, ew, why are they all so shaggy? All of the men in this movie, all the boys rather, all the boys that are students at Hogwarts have terrible hair. Terrible. Awful. I hate it. The next enchanting effort for me, I think, was when they were at the Quidditch World Cup. It was more of an annoyance than anything, was when the Weasley crew and Harry and Hermione are walking up to their seats and they run into Lucius and Draco Malfoy. And Lucius, like, hooks him with his cane and says, "Do enjoy yourself while you can." Way to be super fucking obvious that something is about to go down. If you didn't have a big target on your back before, you certainly do now. I want a smart Death Eater at this point. Like, I don't want just a creepy one that looks the part. I want one that's actually, like, super smart. That's all I want. The next big enchanting effort that I wrote down, which is just kind of a sweeping declaration. Why is Ron Weasley such a little bitch in this movie? It's unbelievable how terrible of a friend he is throughout the entire film. Let's just start with Harry being chosen as the 4th Triwizard Champion. 1, believe your friend. You and Harry have gone through hell and back together. I think at this point, he's earned your trust for him to say, hey, I didn't put my name in the Goblet of Fire. And then for you to turn around and actually just say, no, like, you must be lying to me, screw you. Like, why? Give a little trust. Come on, like, just a little bit. Like, he's earned that. Also, Harry Potter has enough eternal glory. He definitely doesn't need any more. And I think it's all out of jealousy, clearly. You think we would be past that point by now. I do love Ron and Hermione together later on. The beginning of their story here is awful. Obviously, Ron again is jealous of Hermione's, like, flowering into, like, a beautiful young woman, and other men or boys are becoming interested. He's acting like a pouty little bitch, and I'm like, how do you think this is helping you? First of all, you get a hot girl to go to the Yule Ball with you, and you ignore her the entire time because you're so focused on somebody else that has a date that you're jealous of that you can't even enjoy yourself. Harry's just sitting there because he's your friend, so you've also ruined his night now. Although Harry's a terrible dancer and he might not be dancing anyway, he probably would at least be having a good time with somebody else as a better friend. That's my soapbox. I just think Ron doesn't look good in this movie as a friend. So he's an enchanting effort as a whole. The next enchanting effort is not really something specific that happened. It's more of a generalization of the events themselves are what we could be getting close to, like an action movie with Harry fighting a dragon and swimming with the mermaids and saving his friends and being on the edge of our seat. that they might die, or in the maze where literally death is all around us. There were exciting parts there, sure, but they were so quick and then just like over with. And then the transition of the time in between the events, I feel like it's just lacking substance there. Like nothing really makes sense as far as the transitions go. I don't know, I feel like they could have pulled a little bit more from the books when it came to that, and all the backstory and classes and all that stuff. And then of course, like with the twist at the end with Barty Crouch Jr. getting revealed as the secret villain this entire time. Okay, cool, that's a change of pace, but I don't know, it just, even the ending just wasn't very satisfying with, oh, they caught him, and then real Moody's free. By the way, I like that fake Moody has had this trunk in his office the entire time that keeps like screaming and shaking, and he's just like, oh yeah, you can ignore that. Clearly there's a body in there, still alive, but a body nonetheless. Nobody thinks to question it, and then Snape just does like one swish and flick and the box is open. You would think that that kind of secret in there, he would have better security on it. Other than just like, hello Hamora, basically, which I'm assuming is what Snape is saying in his head, but whatever, I don't know. And then everybody leaves for the summer and Hermione's like, you guys will write to me every week, and they're like, yeah, sure, like, Harry just watched somebody die, and all you care about is them writing to you this summer. Cool. I will add, as a last minute magical moment, because I resonate with Hermione so much, I don't feel like she got really great representation in the movie this time. There really wasn't a whole lot for her to figure out and save the day with. Like, she can't perform the events or challenges with Harry. Watching her growing up and kind of just resonating with her as a character when she had her like ugly duckling into the beautiful swan moment, I felt hope for the same thing for me. So growing up and watching the movie, that was definitely a magical moment. I actually struggled to find a VMP this time because, of course, like, Hermione just didn't really play that big a role in the story, or else she would be my default. I thought about Harry, but even this time, Harry had no clue what he was doing. Moody had to tell him what to do the first event, like, use your broom. Neville / Moody gave him the answer for the second one. And the third one, he got Cedric killed and he almost died himself and helped bring the Dark Lord back. Which really isn't his fault. I can't blame him for that. But, like, he didn't really do much in this movie to really make me want him to be my VMP. So I was sitting there and I was looking at my magical moments and just kind of evaluating all of the characters. I think, just for the pure finally starting to see the inner workings of Dumbledore, he's going to be my VMP this week. He is intuitive. He knows something's going on. He believes Harry when he says he didn't put his name in the Goblet of Fire. One of the only people in the story to actually believe him. He probably could have done a little bit more to try to figure out how to get him out of it, but none of them really tried, so it's not really just on Dumbledore. Like, we start seeing that kind of pure relationship come out of Dumbledore and Harry, like having that detective relationship and comforting Harry at the end of the maze when they come back, and Harry kind of throwing himself on top of Cedric's body and Dumbledore's like trying to help him. And of course coming to his rescue when fake Mad-Eye Moody's about to murder Harry. You know, he literally is saving Harry's life a couple times in this film. So I'm sticking with Dumbledore for my VMP. I'm kind of surprised. I've always thought Chamber of Secrets would be at the bottom of my list, just because I never really was into the story, but now that I'm objectively watching these films and actually writing things down and seeing the lists compared to each other, for this week's rankings, I'm going with Prisoner of Azkaban, Sorcerer's Stone, Chamber of Secrets, and Goblet of Fire. Honestly, I feel about the movie the same way that I felt about my outfit today and my whole look. Meh. Like, I still enjoyed the movie, kind of, just because it's Harry Potter, but I was talking to Adam about it, and we both kind of agreed that while it's important to setting up the story and setting up the rest of the films and the books, that it just feels like a chore to watch the movie. Like, I never sit around and think, oh, I'm gonna watch Goblet of Fire. Like, typically I'm watching Prisoner of Azkaban or one of the other movies. So that's it. That's my magical movie review of Goblet of Fire. Drop any thoughts below that you have. I know that this is a relatively unpopular opinion because Goblet of Fire is actually at the top of a lot of people's lists that I know. So let me know how you feel. Good or bad, I'm here for it. Don't forget to like this video to let me know if I should keep on going. Subscribe to my channel as well, and go ahead and head on over to Instagram and follow me at MagicXMolly. I hope you guys have a magical week. Goodbye.